Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Just Tamika. I am meeting with a powerful woman today, Miss Ashley, and I will allow her to share with you what's on her heart in the realm of the importance of self-care. So Miss Ashley, welcome.
Thank you.
So grateful to have you. Thank you for agreeing to be my guest today. It really is helpful and means a lot. So I'll allow you to share just some things that you think are important for people to know around self-care. I know that you and I have been conversating off and on for the last few minutes about some elements that are really important to keep in mind. So I'll let you start however you want, and then I'll just jump in here and there with questions.
Okay. So I think the most important thing to remember when talking about self-care is you're your biggest asset. Like, there's nothing you can gain, no one that you can be friends with that's going to be a better asset to yourself than you. And I think once you realize that, then you'll be more intentional about how you care for yourself. I know as a Black woman, stressors on top of stressors in terms of intersectionality, like being a woman, but also being Black, especially in America, there is like compounded stress, right? And so I think we have to be extra intentional about our self-care. One thing that I struggled with for so long, and I still kind of struggle with, is how I talk to myself. And people are like, are you crazy? What do you mean you talk to yourself? Like, we have thoughts all day. And a lot of those thoughts that I had about myself were not the nicest. Like, if I made a mistake, like, oh my gosh, you're so dumb. Why didn't you think of that? Or you look in the mirror like, oh my gosh, you got rolls. Why you got rolls? Or, you know, oh, I didn't get that promotion. What did I do wrong? And those thoughts, where they may be valid in some areas, maybe you do need to work on yourself, but we also have to look at what's going right. Like, oh, I love my eyes. I love the way I handled this project. I did really good on that. So I think the first step in self-care is how you talk to yourself and how you, when you look in the mirror, what are the first things that you say about yourself? Not what everybody else says, but what do you say about yourself? And it's a work in progress.
Oh man, I have to say that I really like that. I have a small private practice, and so sometimes what I talk about with my clients is the importance of self-compassion. And the way I define that is, how do you talk to yourself? Because you're right, sometimes we can make a mistake, and the way that we talk to ourselves, we would never in a million years say to someone that we respect or that we like, right? We don't call people dummies or, oh my God, you're so stupid. That's the first thing we think about ourselves is, I'm so stupid. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But just really having that compassion. And, oh my God, just so much of what you said resonated with me. I remember when I was in the bachelor's program, I was in a psych class, and they had us do this experiment where we had to think of our body or our I think it was our physical attribute that we least liked and write a love letter to it. Oh my gosh. That was the hardest.
That would be so hard. What do I say? I love my back rolls. They make everything.
It was my belly. Oh my gosh. All I could think was, because I was a single mom at the time, I'm like, well, you gave me my baby, I guess. Like, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a struggle really getting myself to the point where I could even be okay with, like, yeah, okay, I did something well. I do tend to be my own worst critic. And I wonder how much of that too is directly tied to, you know, generational and institutional racism and abuse, right? We're the workhorses of not only just as women, but as Black women, because everything gets kind of dumped onto our shoulders, and we just tend to be the one that takes all these things on and pile the stresses on. And then I chuckled earlier. For those who don't know, we were in a class earlier, and there was a comment about stress, and she made the comment, and I started chuckling because she was like, oh yes, you have to watch your stress. I actually had a conversation with my doctor at one point, and she was like, so your blood pressure has been kind of elevated. Like, do you have a lot of stress? We can't remove the stress. We just need to remove something else. Yeah. Like, can we remove the fat? Like, let's look at that. Right? So it was an interesting conversation. I'm like, I can't believe I'm having this, but yeah. But it also is a reality. There are just certain stressors that we won't be able to get. Sometimes we're moms, sometimes we're wives, sometimes we're caregivers, and all of these things kind of come together, and then you got to go and do a job, right?
Definitely. And I think you hit something on the head. Like you said, like, as Black women, we internalize a lot of things that our mothers might have said, or the internal racism, or what's being played on the media, and things that you believe about yourself. And I think something that is important to self-care is knowing when to tune those things out. I just started this journey. It's called a lock journey. I just locked my hair.
Okay.
But for so long, my mom was just like, oh, you got nappy hair, or it's not straight. And I know when I first said, okay, I'm not gonna get relaxers anymore, you're gonna wear a fro, and I was like, yeah, what's wrong with that?
Oh my god. Yes. Okay, so my daughter and I she's gone natural for a longest time. So I have really thick hair. I'm tender-headed. It hurts. Give me my perm, right? And she just always, you and that creamy crack. But she started her lock journey earlier this year.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, but I've been hearing now how perms have been attributed to cancer and all these things. I'm like, well,
but that's a part of
I'm stuck with this. I'm not used to the natural, and it's such a transition. It's a journey.
Yeah, and not saying that it's for everybody, but I'm saying, like, in terms of starting this lock journey, like, my locks don't look like anybody else's, and they're not gonna look like anybody else's. But it's a journey of appreciating what you have, and it's gonna look different from everybody else. But learning to love yourself as you are, and I think that's a huge thing in self-care. It's funny that we're having this topic because I didn't know we were going to talk about this. But this year, I set goals every year. And last year, the goal was get through all these jobs and plan your wedding and get married. Okay. But this year was, okay, you've given so much of yourself to jobs. You dedicated a year and a half to planning a wedding. Now let's plan you. Like, what do you want to look like in the next 3 to 5 years? If you don't like something about yourself, what are we going to do to either fall in love with it or change it? So I was like, I don't like these back rolls. I was like, well, the only way to get rid of them is to go to the gym. Yes. So self-care is planning to take care of yourself. I struggled with my natural, it was very hard for me to take care of. Self-care was, okay, what is something I can do to love myself, love what I am, how I am, without having, yes, an enhancement. I can wear a wig, I can wear weaves, but at the end of the day, how can I love myself more? So putting the step forward to do that. So scheduling time to take care of yourself, to get yourself where you want to be. You have to schedule self-care. Otherwise, you're going to be caring for everybody else. It
reminds me of that old adage. It really applies to, I've not heard it apply to self-care, but it makes sense, right? If you don't plan, right? If you fail to plan, then plan to fail. And I think that really resonates with me when you were talking about you do, because I have a lot of things on my agenda. You know what's not on my agenda? Me.
Exactly.
It's not. And I need to do something about that.
Yes. I have high functioning anxiety. Yes, it's like self-diagnosed, but I don't think I need anybody to diagnose that. I can function very high under stress, but also have a lot of anxiety. And one thing that helps me to not have that is to plan, because I'm just thinking of everything swirling in my head all together, not really setting SMART goals, and saying, okay, this is what I'm gonna do on this day in this time frame, and I will achieve this by this time. And I think for me, I just talked to my friend the other day. She was like, I get home and I'm so tired and I can't get anything done. And I was like, okay, so buy a planner or use your phone as a planner and say, okay, I'm not gonna be able to clean everything in one day, but I can do laundry on this day for 2 hours. And that gives you something to say, I accomplished that, and then I can move on to the next task. Yeah. Instead of like saying, I didn't get anything done today. Tackle what you can so that you don't overwhelm your stress with all the things that you have to do and not get anything done.
So it kind of takes small bites.
Small bites. And that was something that was hard, because I was like, I can get everything. I would plan off my whole off day. My off day. I plan off my whole off day. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to cook. I'm going to clean. I'm going to plan this vacation. I'm going to be ready. And by the end of the day, I probably just went to the gym and cooked. And I'm like, man, I didn't get anything done. But honestly, I've gotten more done than a lot of people probably have gotten done that day. True, yeah. And more than I was expected to get done, right? And so if you set intentionality about saying, okay, this is what I'm going to do today, and I'm going to be okay with this today, and then I'm going to move on to the next thing.
And I think that's a good part, too. I know sometimes we have these big exhaustive lists. It feels awful when you can't check off as many. But if you are able to put maybe 3 to 5 things, and you're like, okay, if I get 3 done, I'm good. When you get those 3, maybe even 4, you feel great. Like, okay, you really feel like you've made achievements. And so that is, I think, a really good way to, and I'm not talking to just everybody out there. I'm talking to me too. So I'm going to have to start really looking at How can I be more effective in my life? And I really love the lens of, what am I doing to make me better? What are the things that I like about me? And I think it has to start with that self-inventory, right? Because you don't just start off making a check sheet and you don't know what you want to do. Like if you're trying to, decorate a house, you don't just go in and buy a bunch of stuff from the Dollar Tree and go put it everywhere, right? You want to sit down, well, I want this room to look like, what should this room be? And I think it's reasonable to be able to do that with yourself too, so.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. And moving into this new phase of my adulthood, the word that continues to pop up for me is vision. And sometimes it seems very overwhelming, but you really gotta say, look at it and see, what do I envision for myself in the next 3 to 5, or even short term, 1 year? Where do I envision myself? Because sometimes we can just aimlessly wander, right? We don't have any goals set, and that's not self-care, because you don't have, as much as when we were kids, we don't I don't want structure. I want to go to bed when I want to go. I want to eat what I want to eat.
Yeah.
Self-care is having discipline, right? And knowing that you're trying to reach something and make something better of yourself. And that's not always just chasing something, but knowing where you are in your life and envisioning where you want to be within this time frame.
Yeah.
And so I was telling my husband the other day, I was like, for the greater part of my life, I was just like, okay, what's next? And it was just chasing. Yeah. And I said, now my goal for this year is to just be, that's not the word I'm looking for, to be content. That's the word I'm looking for.
I like that, yeah.
To be content. And this is my year of contentment, right? But that might not be my year next year. But this year, I'm envisioning contentment. And then next year, it may be, run for the president of the United States. But that's next year's goal, right? That's next year's goal. But discipline begets self-care, because once you get into your routine and you know what you need to take care of yourself, you've done that inventory, and you know what goals you have, then you can work towards them. You don't fall into that despair, I'm never going to get this done. I'm never going to get here. Or it just seems so big.
It's almost like a roadmap where you can look back and see the progress, right? Mm-hmm. So if you are, and I feel like I'm in a very similar season to you. For me, because I know I'm a bit older than you, I will be, I'm about to be 49.
Okay.
So,
okay.
It's been all this learning, amassing skills, so it's been putting in the work. It's been setting the stage. Now I'm in a place where I'm ready to enjoy. Mm-hmm. I don't want to just live life. I want to thrive. I want to enjoy life. I want to build memories. I'm kind of in that area, but I know that takes planning. I know that takes intentionality. Mm-hmm. And I also want to be the best of me that I can be, especially being a mother.
Yeah.
Being a mother of girls. Mm-hmm. I need to, because we really do watch our mothers. I remember thinking, and I've said many times that, man, the Lord ain't making people like he used to. Because look at my mama could do this, and still work. My grandma, I don't know how they did all that, but you know what?
But they were stressed.
They were. and I don't have to do that. And so I'm like, I've had to get to a place of, look, this is what I could do, and that's just it. And so, especially being a mom and not having a spotless house growing up, it was like, listen, we gonna deep clean on weekends, but we'll pick up toys and around the house because I could live with that, and that was doable. And I didn't have to live up to my mother's torch. I couldn't. It just wasn't attainable for me.
Yeah.
I think the biggest learning for me coming out of COVID was what you said, structure is self-care. Mm-hmm. There was a point where I was working for my pajamas and I was doing stuff, and I'm like, Lord, every day was rolling to the next day.
Yep.
I was like, I'm waking up on Saturdays. Is this a work day?
Yep.
And it got to the point where it was stressful, and I was like, I didn't like it. So I said, okay, something has to change. So I would get up, shower, either put on fresh pajamas or fresh, whatever the house, my duster, my house coat, whatever it was going to be for that day. Comb my hair, wrap my hair, whatever I was going to do. It had to be like I was getting dressed and actually going into the office. If I didn't do that, my days would blur. I would have no sense of self. And it was so frustrating. I think it was really edging into borderline depression. And I was like, nope, got to put the brakes on this.
Yeah. And
through that, I learned that my kids needed the same structure too. Mm-hmm. And so I began to, okay, this is snack time. This is lunch time. Stop, turn that off. We're going to eat together. That was what kind of helped me kind of stay above the depression.
Yeah.
And so I could see how what you're saying makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, structure, being on either end of the spectrum, underperforming and overtasking yourself, they both breed the same thing, wandering. Like on that overtasked area, you're just ripping and running. And then on that underserving yourself, you have no purpose. So you have to find structure in your day so that you're balanced. We talked before, so you said you're a Christian woman. I'm also a Christian woman as well. And one thing that I think, you talked about our mothers doing all this, doing all that. One thing that my pastor has been preaching lately is that to rest is to have faith in the Lord. To know that if you not ripping and running on this day, you taking this one day of rest, the Lord is going to keep you to the next day. Amen. You don't have to be ripping and running all day. You don't have to do all that. You can sit and slow down. You say work and have at least one day of rest, right? And so I think that just keeping that balance, it's all a balancing act, not to be on either end of the structure. And just making sure, like I said, I have high anxiety, but one thing that I have to keep thinking about is like, whatever I stressing about tomorrow, it's not going to change whatever's going on here today. Like, tomorrow brings this whole set of challenges, this whole set of stress.
Bible, right? Worry not for tomorrow. It's got its own problems.
It's going to come. You don't got to worry about it. It's going to come with its stresses, girl. Worry about these right here.
Right.
And I have to, constantly remind myself, oh, dang, tomorrow I got to do all this. And then you got this whole plate that you right here in front of you. You still ain't dealt with that. So, again, taking it bites and chunks at a time and not being on too far ends of those spectrums, balancing yourself out with structure.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We are at our time, but you know what? I would love to have you back anytime. And I'm sure my little few listeners who might one day grow, if not whatever, but just thank you so much for sharing the wisdom that you have in order to help people to strive and to do better and to be better. So for all my friends out there, thank you so much for tuning in. And again, this, as always, is just Tamika.